I think, I could be wrong, but I think we might be some of the best people to get this information from. You can
Where's
always...
our horn to toot?
I'm going to toot it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coaches on Couch.
Bing! Slouches.
Strong, fun and strong. Today, this is kind of one we've been wanting to do for a while now, and luckily we waited.
It was smart.
It was smart.
Inadvertently smart on our part.
Inadvertently smart.
See?
Because of course,
procrastination pays off, Dad.
Yeah. Courses changed a little bit since when they first released them. But today we're going to be talking about the Ironman Memphis 70.3 race course. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think we might be some of the best people to get this information from. You can
Where's
always...
our horn to toot?
I'm going to toot it.
Largely because we've ridden these roads and run these paths. I haven't run the paths very much, but I've ridden the paths.
I've done the
numerous times.
Entire course multiple times.
This is kind of our training ground.
They couldn't have chosen like a route that was, I literally ride this route almost every weekend.
Yep.
So it's, you can always get your information from the dude who rolls around on Google Earth and is now the expert on the course. But
I will say because we both do not like how Ironman does their own little imagery.
I hate it. Very
not usable. So we went ahead and put together on Ride with GPS both routes, and we'll dive into this a little bit. But it is claiming on the bike that the steepest grade is 2.3%.
Not true.
Not true.
All right.
Not true.
But we'll get into it. I'm Coach Dale Sanford.
And I am Coach Bryant Funston. We are the co-founders of BPC Performance Coaching, where we specialize in helping time-crunched athletes optimize their busy schedules so they can maximize their athletic performance. Every BPC coach is trained in our 5 pillars coaching system that has been developed over the last 11 years through our work with athletes of all ages and ability levels, from fresh off the couch to world championship competitors. You can find out more about BPC by going to buildpeakcompete.com, checking Facebook and YouTube at buildpeakcompete, or all up on that Instagram at BPC Performance, and you will not find us on Snapchat.
It's dangerous. All right. So, we have any shout-outs?
Shout-outs?
I'd like to give a shout-out.
I'll do one quick shout-out real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if you can zoom in on my hat here. How fancy are you over
there? You go.
Shout out to 901 for a good cause last month. And again, getting fired back up next month for July. It was a little friendly competition, donation-based, all for a good cause. For all the money that went towards it went towards local foundations and stuff. So it was Strava segments.
Yeah,
and it was a fun thing. So I'm wearing the cap.
There you go.
I've got my crown, my black crown.
Yeah, we appreciate those guys kind of putting something out there to keep everybody motivated and at least getting a little race feel.
Exactly.
Some feels.
Get some competition.
Yeah.
I love competition.
For sure. I'll give a shout out to anybody and everyone who is still has keeping hope out for the season, and training. There are some events happening right now.
Yep.
So that is awesome to see. There was a sprint try last week in the state of Tennessee. I think there's another one this weekend in the state, or the 20th in the state of Tennessee. And then, 70.3 Lubbock is supposed to happen this weekend. And we're hopeful, or not this weekend, it's this month, but we're hopeful that it goes really, really well. Mm-hmm. And because I think a lot of the other cities who are having events are all eyes on Lubbock.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
we're hopeful. So everyone who's continuing to press and improve and put in the work, shout out.
Yeah. I mean, the alternative is you do nothing. And in a few months, you're going to be like, why in the heck did I do that? So.
I keep saying worst case scenario is if every event this year gets canceled, worst case scenario is you spent one heck of a year like improving very specific things that you were not good at. And I actually need to give a shout out to all the people who were diligent in doing the dryland training that we've put in on their triathlon programs, because as of now, there have been no less than, and I haven't had everybody test yet, so I've had at least 6 people now who have demolished their previous time trial times and haven't swam in 3 months.
There we go.
They got in the water and killed their time trial time and haven't swam in 3 months.
Excellent. But
they were like super diligent about getting all the dryland training in.
Yep.
So it's paid off. So let's kind of like break into this. I guess first we need to real quick just talk about our 70.3 training group. Yep. And it's something that we put together. Some of these folks have been going since January. The new folks, like some of these people have never done a triathlon, and this race coming to our town has inspired them to jump in. So some have been going since January, but we are kind of now in the second phase.
Yep. So
May was kind of like the first build up, and then now we're going to kind of go and we're building up officially for the 70.3 at this point.
Yeah. So if you're someone who's been sort of doing your training, but are realizing this weekend is 16 weeks.
Yeah.
Now would be an awesome time.
Not to ensue panic.
To jump in.
But we are approaching that, get on the train or risk injury or just don't make it to the start line type of thing. Exactly. So if you're interested in that, it's an online group, so you can be anywhere, but we are going to be doing some local things for the group as well. Yep. Getting close to the race, we'll be doing ride and run, recon, and stuff like that.
Yep.
About 4 to 6 weeks out or so. But if you're interested in that, you can go to buildpeakcompete.com/IMMEM. There you go.
I'm Mim.
All right, so everyone is here today to learn about the course.
The courses.
So we can't talk about the course without talking about the city. So the city of Memphis is extremely excited to have this event here. I know the entire triathlon community in the Mid-South in general is ecstatic to have this race here. It's been a long time coming. I think people have been trying to push Ironman to come to Memphis for a long time. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge thing for us. So I don't foresee there being a lack of volunteers. Everyone's scared about that with the whole pandemic thing going on. But we have a massive community between triathlon, cycling, running, just endurance sports in general. There's a massive community here.
Literally thousands.
Yeah, thousands of people. So that is not a worry at all. But the city itself, if you've not been here, has a lot of really awesome things going on. We've gone from probably one of the least healthiest cities in America to having some of the most impressive bike infrastructure of any city in the country, and we're talking rivaling cities like Madison and Portland and these cities that have put so much into cycling. We have a lot of people here that have done a lot of work to make the city more bike friendly.
For sure. Yep. When we both moved here in 2007, it was ranked top 4 worst places to be a cyclist. And now it's one of the ranked, last year, the year before was ranked one of the top places.
Yeah, we actually made the list, which is impressive.
Putting infrastructure in place to make it a bike-friendly place. So
there's at this point now, over 400 miles of bike lanes and paths and stuff like that in the city. and they're still building them. Mm-hmm. So it is an amazing place for cycling in general. Mm-hmm. As far as the city, and for those of you bringing people into the town, there is no shortage of restaurants, entertainment. You
like the blues?
Blues music, live music, period, is all over the place. There's probably more barbecue restaurants per capita.
It's got to be up there.
In the city. It's like 110, 140, something like that, like barbecue restaurants in the city of Memphis.
I would say just on one street.
Yeah. And some of the best barbecue tofu.
Shout out RP Tracks.
Got a shout out. Uh-huh. So there are options for everyone around here. And, like I said, we do have some of the best restaurants of any city I've been to.
Yep.
As far as entertainment goes, there's tons of stuff to do around town. But, let's face it, Shelby Farms is like the number one place to go to for some entertainment with your kids, and just being outside.
I was going to say, if you like being outdoors, which typically people who are triathletes enjoy the outdoors, right? Shelby Farms is an amazing resource for that.
Yeah.
Between the zip line stuff that you got and that kid park.
Massive playground.
Is amazing. I don't know if the kid park's open yet, but...
massive playground, splash pad, boats, boat rentals,
paddleboarding,
canoeing,
kayaking, riding, fishing.
Couple of restaurants out there. It is, and that it's like 4,500 acres.
4,500, yeah, one of the largest in the nation.
Yeah,
it's kind of tucked in between like Memphis proper. And as you start getting more into like the suburb style areas of Memphis, it's like
it's just outside the loop, whatever you want to call it, like whatever you want to describe the loop. Yeah, it's right outside the loop. So yeah, you're kind of like on the border of Memphis, Cordova, Germantown. Yep. So the race course itself is going to go through multiple cities and even out into the far eastern part of Shelby County and into Fayette County on the bike course.
Can we call them boroughs?
It's not very burrowy. You get east and it turns very
country.
Rurally. Yeah. It's country.
It's pretty country.
But yeah, Shelby, as far as a venue goes, like I don't foresee and I've been to a ton of big races. I don't foresee a problem with parking. I don't foresee a problem with getting in and out of the park, during the day, because there's multiple entrances and exits. There's plenty of place for them to park people. Yep. So it really couldn't be a better venue for this, to have everything so self-contained. Mm-hmm. This will be one that draws a lot of attention, as long as this first year goes well. It'll draw a lot of attention down the road, just specifically because of how spectator and family friendly the venue is.
That run course, which we'll get into, there's going to be numerous opportunities to see the athlete that you're coming to cheer on. Yeah,
that's always been one of the most annoying things about triathlon, especially for the family, is you go to a race, especially long course, and they're out on the course, and you won't see them for hours. Yeah. So now as the person with kids or something, now it's like you're trying to kill 2 hours, 3 hours to until you see them again.
Yeah.
So the park will have plenty of things for you to do, but then again, once they're on the run, you'll be able to see them multiple times, and there's a lot of cut throughs where you could just go across, see them, go back across, see them.
Yeah.
It's really, really spectator friendly.
Oh, for sure.
So let's pull up a map real quick, and I just want to kind of give you guys a look. I know Bryant's got if you're listening here, you won't be able to see, but
it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be. I always say probably. You're not going to be able.
If you're only listening, I will pretty much guarantee you can't see what we're showing right now.
So
talk it out to him, Dale.
Yeah. So all you're seeing here is the lake itself. And so this is where the venue itself, the setup, the transition area, the start and the finish are all going to be right around the main lake at Shelby Farms. And so the transition area is actually going to be set up in an area where we have another really big event every year. The Ride to Fadon happens every year in October. And so the area that has that flat grass area is going to be most of where the transition area is going to be set up. At the bottom closest to the lake, there's an amphitheater. And so that's going to be a great area for, awards and all that kind of stuff afterwards. But there's an amphitheater down there, and then the transition area will unless they change it, will be set up in that grassy area kind of above the amphitheater there. Again, plenty of room to move in and out. I wouldn't worry about it being cluttered. Even if they have to space bikes out more than usual, there should be plenty of room down there to figure it out.
Oh, for sure.
The lake itself is, I'm not sure how many acres the lake is, but several years ago, they basically tripled the size of the lake, which is what makes it makes the lake big enough to do this race in the lake. So for all of you who are worried about the water, don't be, because this lake is really only, how old is the lake? It's 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years, maybe?
Maybe.
So when they rebuilt the lake, they dug the whole thing out. They got everything out of it. They dredged it. I mean, it was a complete rebuild of this lake. So,
in fact, we could even show what that looked like.
Yeah.
Zoom in on this GPS.
If you go into the Ride with GPS map and you zoom in too far, it'll actually show. It's actually still the images from the rebuild of the park. So they literally tripled the size of the lake. So the water is clean. You're not going to have to worry about snakes. It's plenty deep, but it does get shallower kind of toward the ends and obviously toward the shorelines. They've built certain sections where it was meant to drop in boats and canoes and kayaks, so it kind of drops off gradually. But it does make almost a perfect 1.2 mile loop, through the lake. So, Brian, if you go back to the Google Maps. So let's just talk about the swim course real quick. This should go pretty quickly.
Yeah. Can you give them the elevation profile on this one?
There's very little elevation.
Not much elevation gain
on the swim course. Although sometimes it may feel like you're swimming downhill or uphill. The area, I will say, the lake down there, it's in a bit of a bowl. It's in a bit of a valley, so it does get windy down there. So there could very well be some wind out on the lake that day. But basically, what you're going to do is you're going to start down by this near the amphitheater.
Yep. So down in this area here, I'll kind of zoom in. Yeah,
you're going to start down by the amphitheater, and then it's going to be a counterclockwise swim.
Yeah.
So you're going to head to the kind of the far end of the lake there, and there'll be turn buoys. They're going to set buoys out, because you see the different little piers that they have on the. There's different little piers on the, I would say, north side or whatever of the lake.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to stay away from those. So it's not going to be a straight, a rectangle. It's not going to be super straight lines to get along the swim course. So you're going to go toward the far end of the lake, and then will be your main turn there, and then you're going to head back down the longest stretch of the lake. That will be fairly straight. Brian, if you zoom out, you'll kind of see there's some islands here.
Yeah.
you're not going to go on the backside of those islands. You're going to stay inside of the island, and then you're going to shoot across to the very other far end of the lake, kind of where the restaurant and whatnot is. And then your other major turn is going to be there, and then you're just heading back toward the amphitheater. So it is, they've made it and marked it straight at 1.2 miles. So it's a single loop course, which is awesome. But it's pretty simple. It's just not gonna be as straightforward of a swim as some where you're just doing a rectangle or a triangle or something like that. It's going to be little kind of bendy. There's going to be some bends and then the main turns. But they will have, the typical turn buoy, sight buoy, and all that stuff out there. But pretty straightforward on the swim course.
Yep.
Your swim exit is going to be down there near the amphitheater, probably not right next to it, but near it. And then you'll run into transition in that grass area. And then we'll move ahead to the bike course, because when they first came out with the bike course, they had it going north out of the park and then up Macon Road. And that initially concerned me because, one, that road is really crappy, really junky.
Yeah, so you're running the kind of backside here.
Yeah, and two, that road was forced you to cross Germantown Parkway, which is like one of the busiest roads in the area. And I didn't know how they were going to physically shut that road down for hours on end. So I am super happy that they made the changes that they did with the course, because now we go over Germantown Park. We don't have to go, and Walnut Grove is flatter. It's actually faster. So it took out some turns and actually took out a little bit of elevation on the course, because going out the north end of the park, you have to go up a couple of little hills to get out of the park itself. So it would have made for a really slow start. So now when you're going out of transition, you actually, you're going to go out, and then like you're getting right on Walnut Grove, and then you're going to head out east. And that's fairly flat. It's,
there's no real sharp hills, nothing super steep there.
It'll feel
the first, 4 miles.
When you're getting close to Germantown Road, it'll feel slightly up, but the chances are, we'll just talk about this now, chances are the wind's going to be coming from the west.
Yeah, southwest, west, south is typically.
Yeah, so for those of you who are concerned about the wind, you will probably have it at your back on the very first part of the bike. So, that means you will have it in your face.
Subject to Mother Nature.
Coming home. But yes, we did have a day. We had a day last week where somehow it felt like the wind was coming hard from the east, which was really weird, but it happens.
Yeah.
So that first I can't really
see. 3 miles to the first turn.
Okay, so first 3 miles there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Not a lot.
It's pretty flat.
Little hill through here right before the turn. So you turn at the top of a hill, and then it gets a little rolling as you head north.
Yeah, so you're taking this left on what's called Walnut Bend, and so Walnut Bend has some roll to it, but it's enough up and down where you can carry speed over most of what the up is.
Yep, for sure.
It's a 2-lane road. The roads are good.
Through a neighborhood. This is all neighborhood here.
Yeah, going Walnut Bend it's pretty much all neighborhood. You'll cross Trinity Road. So crossing Trinity is a 4-lane, 4-way stop. So they will have to have police there, but it's not the most busy road in the world, so it shouldn't be too bad. But once you cross that, you're kind of up into another neighborhood. It rolls up a little bit from there. And then you are going to end up taking your next right turn onto Macon Road. And so once you're onto Macon, it does some zigging and zagging, but it's pretty flat. I mean,
there's not much to speak of.
Yeah,
for the next.
where So
you got some net downhill that's happening.
There is a section of Macon that, so like where Bryant's got the cursor there, we'll just say there's a kind of a chicane turn on Macon. You're still on Macon, you stay on Macon, but there's a little bit of a chicane turn that it's really fun to hit pretty fast. But I'm sure they'll have, they may have traffic, somebody watching traffic there, just because sometimes people cut that turn fairly close on the inside. But if you're railing it, you want to be on the inside of that turn anyway. So,
and as a note, you do have some tracks.
Yes.
Before you get to that chicane. So
yeah, I
there's
forgot.
a small little section right here where there are some tracks to go over. So making sure you hit that not parallel with the tracks. Hit tracks perpendicular.
Hit tracks perpendicular. They're pretty good too. I've never had an issue with them going over them at speed. So they're pretty safe. So we're still heading out on Macon. Again, it's flat. You'll probably be hauling, and that takes you all the way out to, Macon is going to basically take you all the way out to 196. And so, Brian, if you kind of scoot over.
Yeah, so you're going to start getting into some just soft rollers. But yeah, you bomb this all the way out to 196
Again, the chances are you'll have the wind at your back. So what little roll there is on Macon for that long stretch, you'll probably just carry speed over them. They may slow you down a hair, but I mean, realistically, what is the mile marker all the way to?
All the way out to
96
turn is right around 16.
So you're 16 miles in, and they're, aside from maybe going up the stretch, going up Walnut Bend, going north, is the only stretch that'll really slow you down.
Yeah, and then this little section here, you do run up towards a stop sign up here, which that is a little grind, but not super steep.
Yep. So the most notable stuff all comes after.
We call it Texas.
Well, when you get on the Texas loop. Once
you get on Texas over here, everything's bigger in Texas.
If you look at the maps, which again we'll post on our website, the far loop there looks kind of like Texas. But as soon as you turn north on 196, that's pretty much where all the rolling is going to start happening.
Yeah.
All the big hills are out here on 196, after 196, and then on this Texas loop. So as soon as you turn on 196, it's maybe a slight up for a minute.
Briefly, yeah. Then you got a pretty decent down.
Yeah, you go downhill, and then.
So if you're looking at that profile right there, you got that nice little sort of.
Yeah, it's fast.
Downhill grade, yeah.
And then you'll hit probably one of the two biggest hills on the bike course. You're just climbing up and over. You're climbing, and this is one of those ones where Ride with GPS says it's like 2%.
Yeah.
But it's probably closer to what, 5?
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll definitely zap your speed.
Yeah, it'll slow you down.
And it's long enough to where you're not going to stand and hammer that whole thing to keep your speed up. It's one you're probably going to want to settle into a little bit more and not stress about speed dropping on that one. Yeah,
it's a solid even if you're
showing it at starting at about 18.7 and running to, so it's over 0.3 of a mile.
Okay. So you're
0.4 of a mile.
Easily a 1 to 2 minute effort easily. Keep in mind, up to this point, as far as I'm concerned, the roads are good. Most of the course has pretty good roads, I would say.
Yeah.
Or you can always find a smooth section on the road you're on. So once you get over that first hill on 196, the bigger hill, you're going to fly downhill. It's like up and over. So you're going to be like bombing downhill, and then you're going to take a right turn onto Canadaville Loop, which is one of my favorite roads in all of the eastern routes here. But as soon as you turn onto Canadaville Loop, you are faced with the second largest hill on the course.
Yep.
And so this one probably is maybe just slightly at the steepest, maybe slightly over 5%.
Oh yeah,
something
definitely.
like that.
I'd say it's even more than that. I'd say you're in that 7-8%
Yeah,
even.
Yeah, toward the top. Really, it kind of gets steeper as you go up, and it just kicks up once you get closer to the top of it. But it's like one of those hills that you can you look at and you can see the top.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. What you see is the end of the hill.
Yeah, you see the top when you're at the bottom. So it's not like it's gonna just tabletop and go up again. And that one is not, I wouldn't say it's quite as long. It's not as long. It's not as long as the first one. It's just a little bit steeper toward the top.
Yep.
So that's another one that you're going to probably, you're going to have to expend some energy on. But because it's earlier in the course, I wouldn't smash it.
No.
Don't burn a match getting up and over this hill. The other reason is you do have a nice long kind of gradual down drag after that. That is really fast. Yeah. It's, when we go out there on a group ride, this starts a paint train. So when we go out there on a group ride, this kind of starts one of our hot segments that we do quite a bit. You get up over the hill and then you fly down this long gradual drag. And so after, toward the end of the drag, there's a bend in the road that's pretty sharp.
Oh yeah, through that north side of the course?
So you get toward the bottom of it and you come to a hard right bend. It's still the same road, it just bends really hard to the right. And on the corner of that, there was a nice property for sale that was for sale for about 2.5 minutes. But this road,
would you say that's something you'd ride in Arrow? Or would you come out of Arrow on that corner?
I wouldn't, no.
Yeah.
I would start to the left of the road and then cut the inside out of it. Yeah. It's not so sharp that you want to necessarily come out, but you can't just start inside and end up inside. You got to start out on the yellow line and then cut in.
Yeah. Assuming you're comfortable riding your aero bars. Right.
But it is something you can do Arrow for sure. It's just a pretty sharp bend. But this road, we'll just put it, this road has a ton of massive houses on it.
Yeah.
It's a very it's a nice road because they're just $1 million houses everywhere.
Yeah, large open lots. You're pretty much country now. You're sort of out in the country, bigger lots.
Yeah.
You're going to start getting into much fewer homes.
So after that bend, it rises just a slight amount and then it's flat. Canadaville Loop is pretty flat in the middle section there.
Yeah, all through here, heading south.
And then you will hit this left turn onto Clay Pond. I would say the only notable thing on Clay Pond, there's a slight roll to it, but I would say the road itself turns to more chip seal. It's maybe not as smooth of concrete or blacktop. It turns a little bit of chip seal. And then it's the same for that Payne Road.
Yeah.
When you turn a right on Payne, it's, there's not a whole lot to it, but
I think this whole section's kind of net uphill. But you do have some, ups and downs, but it's sort of net uphill after you turn on the Clay Pond until you get pretty much off of Payne.
Yeah, and Payne, once you take that right onto Payne, Payne will drop you back off onto Macon.
Yeah.
You're just way further out in the, you're actually in the next county at that point. So Payne will probably be, I think it's one of the only left turns, and maybe the only left turn.
Well, we got left on 196.
Oh, sorry, left on 196, and then left on the Payne. So I'm sure they'll have somebody at Payne.
And then left on Fisherville.
Watching traffic there. But when you get out on Macon, after you'll turn that left turn onto Macon, it gets rolly again. And this is kind of one of those sections where if the wind's at your back and you're carrying some speed, you can pretty much get up and over these. They look way worse than they really are. But
just these first couple.
Yeah.
And you've got a nice long downhill. I mean, this is a fast downhill that you've got not long after.
Yeah.
So I would push those first couple hills because you're going to get that recovery on that downhill section.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there really isn't there's maybe one hill on the whole course that right after you get over it, there's not a significant downhill to recover from. And we'll get to that one here in just a little bit. But on the way out in Macon, these rollers, it's just going to be pretty consistent rollers. Now that we're like to the farthest eastern part of the course, it's either going to be short flat sections or just roller after roller type thing. And again, if you carry speed, most of these you can pop over, no problem. It actually is really fast.
If you got wind at your back,
yeah,
or even wind helping you at all, you can roll those pretty well.
Yeah, it's fairly fast.
But they are enough to where if it's wind in the face, you're not going to be carrying momentum, and the length of those rollers are going to seem a lot longer.
Yeah.
There's not going to be much flow to it.
So I would say it's actually better if we have the wind, because coming back in is fewer rollers if you have the wind in your face. Correct?
I wouldn't want it in my face coming back.
I don't want it in my face. I'm just saying, based on the course itself.
I would be riding more conservative on the front half if you've got that tailwind.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Knowing that, because I mean, once you get onto Raleigh-LaGrange here, you've got a bunch of hills. Fisherville's tough. I mean, you got a lot of tough little hills once you get on this southern section.
So let's go back to the turn here. So you're on Macon, you're going over the rollers, and you're going to take a right-hand turn onto
194.
194, I guess is what's it also called? Chulahoma?
Rossville Road.
Oh, Rossville. So that stretch that's a super long stretch.
Yeah.
That's like one of the longer stretches where you're not going to have a turn. It looks like it might turn, but it's just bends in the road.
Yeah.
So that whole like southerly stretch going southwest at the far end of the course, that's all one long stretch. That rolls quite a bit.
Yeah, and up, kind of the net uphill rollers.
You're gonna like that section. I again, be a little bit conservative on it, because there are still plenty of rollers to come, including one longer hill.
Yeah.
But that section right there, I would say some of the best road on the whole course as far as smoothness. So you can go fast, but you're going to want to make sure you take what downhill you do get at a lighter effort, because you're going to be grinding up at times, and it does net up.
Yeah, you're not going to have the same spikes you would have. You want to ride those inclines a little more steady, because you're not going to get that real recovery.
They're all very gradual.
Afterwards. Yeah, so it's stuff you'll feel like you should be going faster than you are on those rollers. If you get like a cross head as well, it's going to be mentally, it can be tough where you'll want to over push it because you feel like you should be going faster. Yeah. So that's where it's a good time to, if you're on heart rate, just be looking at your heart rate. If you're a power person, use that to make sure you're not riding 10% above that goal number that you're trying to do. Because it's not like, where you got a rolling up and down where you can push harder on those ups, because you're going to get that recovery on the other side.
Yeah.
This is one you're going to want to ride a little more steady, I think.
Yeah. So at the bottom, as you're coming down that stretch, it's going to kind of finish downhill. Yep. That stretch does.
Yeah.
And
that's a fast little section, right?
It's fast because you're coming up on basically a farm, and there's usually cows. So when you start seeing cows, there's a right turn coming.
Yep.
And so you're coming down pretty fast, and there is a right turn onto Raleigh LaGrange. And so once you get on Raleigh, it kind of...
You got another downhill right there.
Yeah, there's another quick downhill, and then it rolls a bit more.
Yep.
Raleigh LaGrange, all in all, is a fairly rolling road.
Yeah, for sure. Like from this spot that you can kind of see, mile 36. So from mile 36, essentially till you get to the top of Monterey.
Yeah.
So 47. So miles 36 to 47, that 11-mile stretch, it's kind of unrelenting roller after roller.
Yeah. It's not gradual anymore. It's all up. It's up and down, and down, and some of them are sharp but short. But there's fewer gradual grinds. They just come and go quick.
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of rhythm on that. It's going to be a lot of varied effort.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So Raleigh LaGrange, again, unrelenting rollers coming in. You're going to have to do your best to find some sort of a rhythm, but just keep kind of pressing, kind of through that section.
This is where, if in your training all you're doing is steady state stuff, it's gonna be a big surprise. Like these are gonna be spikes in power, just because the grades are gonna be steep enough to where you're not gonna be riding it at a zone 3. You're going to have pushes into zone 4 most likely, and you may have pushes into zone 5 from a power standpoint.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay attention. You can't trust any of the grade profile on this section at all.
No, not at all.
Because a lot of these rollers probably do, they may cap out at 5%, but they're like, it's short sections that are 5%, but they're definitely not 2%.
No, not at all.
One note, John Zinn, our buddy John Zinn, chimed in that turn, like right after you turn off of 194 onto Raleigh, the road's a little cruddy there.
Yeah.
But you're literally in farm
and you
country,
also have two bridges, I think, down through that bottom section. So you turn off on the Raleigh LaGrange, you got that downhill, and then you got some bridges right there that can be pretty rough.
Yeah, once you kind of get into the flatter bottom section there are two bridges that are a little bumpy.
Yeah, right around mile 35-ish, 36.
Yeah. You could probably take them in aero bars. If you're not super confident with the handling in aero bars, then you probably want to come out of them for those.
Yep.
So where were we? We were coming up on crossing over. I'm trying to see here. Crossing over 196 from Raleigh LaGrange. That's still rolling. Like once you come around the bend, you'll.
That's one of the faster little downhills, I would say, on the course, is right after you cross this 196 section. And that fast little down. I mean, you can spin out on that little downhill.
Yeah.
And then it's a steep little uphill right afterwards.
It doesn't even show. I mean, it really, the profile map doesn't even do it justice. So, you cross over 196 and you're going to fly down this hill.
Yeah. And this is a spot I would put a spike in, because you're going to carry. Short. Yeah, it's short. And if you push that downhill and put in 10 seconds of hard effort, you're going to save 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Yeah. And that hill, if you just coast into the bottom of it and then start riding it, it's going to be a difference of, I think you could shorten that hill by 20 seconds at least. Easily. By just pushing hard for 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we are now on a section of road that our weekly Hammerfest ride goes on. Yep. So we're very familiar with where to press and where not to press on this stretch of road. So take the speed into the downhill and just put in a little sharp effort to get over that, because once you're over it too, it kind of nets down, it kind of rolls down again. So you have plenty of time to let off and recover and retain speed after that. There is a little bit of a grind uphill once you're getting toward Fisherville Road.
I hate that section.
Well,
I hate it.
So
I don't know why, but that always seems, this spot right here where you're kind of coming up the hill, you take a right, and then you got that little stair stepper right afterwards.
Yeah.
That, for some reason, I always feel like I should be going 5 miles an hour faster than what I'm going.
When you're coming into that section, you'll have gone down a little hill. It'll been flat for a little bit, a section, and then, I mean, it's really only like maybe it's not even a quarter mile, I would say, of gradual up. But then you hit the right turn by a church on Fisherville Road, and I think that's where they're going to have one of the aid stations. Did we check that? I know
we had checked, but I forgot now.
One of the water stations, I'm positive, is going to be on the corner of 196. So that's like 16 miles in?
Yeah, right about 16.
So 16 miles in, they'll have an aid station.
And then there was another, I remember, over here by on 194. So around mile 30.
That's right.
30-ish.
So there was another, 194. It'll probably, if I'm guessing right, it'll probably be set up. There is they may not have put the icon on the right side of the road, but there's a school there that they could easily set up a good aid station at. Hopefully they put it on a slight uphill. So let's go back to the course down here. Move the map for me, or zoom out.
Okay.
Let's get down to Fisherville.
Yeah, we were on it.
So Fisherville, I would say one of the tougher sections.
Yeah, you got that stair stepper to start.
Yeah.
Then you got a fast section, but then you got two harder rollers.
Yeah.
That are gonna end up sucking some speed out of you. Even though you got recovery over the top of each one, they're steep enough, long enough that, and by this point in the race, your legs are going to be feeling all those rollers you had on Raleigh LaGrange, all the rollers you had on Big Texas. Those are going to hurt some. Yeah. So that's right up here on this kind of north side of Fisherville.
Yeah, that section, when we do our Hammerfest ride, usually gets fairly rowdy toward the end, because the end of that northern stretch is the hardest part.
Yep.
So you go over a couple of rollers. You will fly down. You'll fly down the rollers, but they are, like Brian said, they're steep enough and just long enough to suck your speed to get over the top of it and then fly down the next one. When you get to the end of that stretch, getting toward what is Herb Parsons, kind of going toward Herb Parsons Lake, there is kind of a bend. It kind of rides up and then it bends left, basically, and that whole like rise and bend is speed stealing.
Yep, false flat style. It's like the hill carries on right there.
Even after you get over the bend, it's false flat.
Yeah.
But
riding it solo, not being able to draft, I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking at being in single digit speeds there, for the vast majority of folks.
Yeah.
By the top of that second kicker right there.
Yeah, but once you get over that false flat section, it starts to go down and you'll fly.
That's a fast.
You'll fly down this hill to the left turn onto Monterey. And that one, I would say going that direction, turning left, you'll probably want to be a little bit cautious in that turn. It is super fast when you're coming the other direction and turning right, because it's almost banked. But going left, I would say now it's Off-Camber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The road definitely falls away from you there.
Yeah, it's a Off-Camber left turn. So just be a little cautious. You're going to be coming down with a lot of speed. And so we're on Monterey. Monterey coming back west. It rolls. It rolls pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if now if we do have the wind in our face, it's going to be stealing a little bit of your momentum, a little bit of your speed. So just be prepared for some more rollers, having to grind over a few. And then, we always tell people, and this is a huge tip, if you gotten to this point with us, you have to, even if you're not pressing hard, you want to press over a hill all the way over the hill until you get back up to speed. People's big mistake is that they'll put in effort up to the top of the hill, and then they're like, oh,
Yep.
I finished the hill. And then, but there's like this huge section where when you get to the top of the hill, your speed completely dies off. And then you decide that you're recovered enough to put pressure back on the pedals, and then you kind of get back up to speed like halfway down the hill.
Yep.
Whereas if you just pushed maybe another 10 seconds longer and allowed yourself to get over the crest of the hill and start the downhill, you would be back at the speed a whole lot faster, and you'd save 10, 15 seconds on each one of these harder hills.
Mm-hmm.
So press over each one of these rollers. Regardless of how hard you're pressing, press all the way over before you let off the gas and start your kind of easier recovery effort.
Yeah, we always say the end of the hill is not the top of the hill. The end of the hill is when you're back up to speed.
Absolutely. So coming in, we're going to have to kind of move with this a little bit quicker, but Monterey rolls, there's no other way to explain it. The roads,
they're shorter. These are all shorter little rollers here. So these are rollers that I would be pushing harder. I wouldn't be settling in quite as much personally.
Right.
But I like spikes and rests more than steady state until you get to here.
So I would say the longest, most difficult hill. Would you say Monterey is harder than the 196 hill?
Monterey's, it's a tough one. It's similar.
Around here, it's Mount Monterey. It's one of the bigger hills, not climb.
Yeah.
That we have in the area. So we ride it a lot, but in comparison to the 196, it's shorter.
Yeah.
But I think
a little steeper through the middle.
I think the middle gets a little bit steeper than the other.
Yeah, and you got the little kicker beforehand, which zaps your speed some.
When you get, and this is one of the ones that absolutely, positively, you cannot let off the gas until you pick up speed, because when you get to the top of the steepest part, the hill is not done.
Not at all.
It levels out a little bit, but it keeps grinding up basically all the way to the stop sign, to the turn.
Yep.
So
for many, that will be a small ring hill.
Yes.
Like you can ride at big ring, but for many, I think you're going to be small ring.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On that one.
Yeah, so push up Monterey Hill, it kind of goes up and bends, and so you can't actually see the top when you're at the bottom. But you got to push all the way up over that and get back up to speed, because you're going to turn back onto Raleigh-LaGrange.
Yeah. So right at mile 47.
And right when you turn onto Raleigh, it goes slight down, so you'll get your recovery.
Yeah.
So you got to push all the way up over that Monterey Hill.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be overall fairly easy from mile 47 all the way to when you turn onto Houston Levee, which is mile 49.2. So you got about 2 miles. That's going to be a faster, easier section.
Yeah, so real quick, that Raleigh section coming back in, it does roll a little bit. There is some, there's some down, there's some roll. When you get, I'm trying to think of where there are a couple of like little things in the road to watch out for on that section, but it's more so like once you take the turn off of Raleigh onto Houston Hill. When you take that turn onto Houston Hill Road, I would say of all the sections of road, that's the worst section of road. From the end of Raleigh-LaGrange to Houston Levee is the worst section of road, and you're going to be going downhill for a lot of that. So personally, I wouldn't, unless they pave it.
Yeah.
Which
they might.
They pave the bottom of it.
Yeah, they might.
The bottom of it is brand new pavement. But if they pave the whole thing, it'll be great. But otherwise, that is one that you may not want to be an arrow going down the hill, because there is there's a lot of kind of bad concrete, blacktop there.
That section, and even like this Raleigh-LaGrange section too, until you hit like 196. That's all kind of junky concrete too.
Yeah.
As a reference.
Yeah. So yeah, the downhill there right after turning off of Raleigh, just be careful because you are going to be going down Houston Hill, and it is fast. It's very fast. All right, so once you get down Houston Hill safely,
yes,
you're going to turn north onto Houston Levee, which is going to roll up. And so it's very gradual. Yeah, stronger cyclists may not even notice it, especially depending on the wind. But you are going to go north on Houston Levee until you come back to Walnut Grove.
We're not actually going to go into that gas station.
Yeah, you're not actually going to go behind the Taco Bell.
Disregard that.
So once you turn onto Walnut Grove, it's pretty much a straight shot back. Yeah. But Walnut Grove does rise and fall at the far end.
The start of that is hard, yeah. Those are some rollers until you get to, essentially, even past Forest Hill, until you get to kind of the Sanga.
Yeah.
So it's a couple miles, really. You start at about mile 50.3 and until you hit 52.
And just having been out there yesterday, they are repaving Walnut Grove. Yep. I don't know how far they'll take it, but if they do repave that, it'll be nice and fast.
Yep.
Smooth pavement. But they are in the process of repaving it.
Mm-hmm. But
once you're on Walnut Grove, and especially after you get past, once you get up and over Germantown Parkway,
mm-hmm.
it's going to be fast finish pretty much.
Yeah, until you turn into the park. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, for most of you, you're not going to drive it all the way into transition, but just, cruise it in. It's not going to be a part of the course where you're going to have to push really hard. So that's nice to come in, to be able to kind of back it off and come into transition with your legs not loaded up. But coming back in the park the same way you left, and then you're back into T2.
Bam.
All right. Let's break down this run course, and luckily it's 2 loops, so we won't really have to go into a long detail, but it is a 2-loop course.
You can see there's a lot happening here.
It does wind, but keep in mind this run course is entirely inside the park.
Yep.
You will not have to cross a road. Anything besides park roads, it's golden. It is.
And like a spectator right here, sort of in the center of the course, you can see a person 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 times.
And the finish line's right there.
And the finish line all at one spot, really.
Yeah.
Minimal walking.
So do 2-loop course, right? So you're going to go out of transition and you're going to take the long loop around the lake.
Flat.
And the lake is pancake flat.
Yep.
So that's almost 2 miles.
Yep.
The first 2 miles of each loop. So what is it actually? It's like...
It's got, 2.2 is when you make your first real turn.
Yeah, so it's not until to the far end of the lake where you're going to
right here, you get a little hill.
Yeah, you're going to get on the park road, and it's going to lift up and over.
Yeah.
And it's really not bad at all. The first notable hill, I would say, is when you take your left turn going up the park road. That is a steep little kicker, but realistically, once you get to the top of that, pancake flat again.
Flat, yep.
So up a small hill, pancake flat, onto this Chickasaw Trail, which is like the most common path that people are running, walking, biking in Shelburne Farms. So you're on Chickasaw Trail, pancake flat. You'll go by the Buffalo Pen.
Guy on the Buffalo.
Check out the Buffalo. The route around the lake. So everyone's asking about this, like, we're gonna have to get on gravel. Like there's a small section around one of the lakes in the park, goes back around the lake. It is flat as a pancake, and it is very nice gravel.
Yeah.
So it will likely be a reprieve from being on the blacktop.
Yeah.
So don't panic about that at all. It is a great section of the course.
Yeah.
You get around that, and once you pass that, that's kind of where things start to roll a little bit. So once you're past the lake section, the gravel section, it's going to roll up. It'll flatten out. I mean, it literally, a lot of the back part of the course here stays pretty flat up until you get to where our cross country course starts their races. So kind of once you get near the very like dead center north part of the park, that's where it's really going to start to kind of roll.
Yeah, you kind of had a net uphill, and then it gets pretty rolling.
Man, it is. I've ran that so many times. I don't even call it net uphill. It is like you barely notice it until you get to this back section. Really, once you get to the back section, it goes downhill pretty steep. It's down and then up, and then it's flat again. Yep. Like it's really like one big down and up.
Yeah, right in that little S bend right there.
Yeah,
that north part. If
like honestly, all of you who are like worried about the hills on the run course, they're not long enough or hard enough to really like hurt you. They're in my opinion, they are a amazing reprieve from having to modulate a very steady effort.
Yeah. So
you're going to go down and up, and then it's literally flat as a pancake for a little bit. Go back to the northern part of the park. Yeah. So once you get through that and it's flat, you'll come down. You'll cut through the woods. That section is gradual down all the way to the playground.
Yep.
So once you see the playground, you're going to go up and over a little hump.
Kicker,
it's a little kicker hill. And then it'll go gradual down again. And it's gradual down all the way to the road you're going to cross. So it's gradual down, and then it's flat as a pancake again for a nice stretch. You're going to get close to the finish line, basically.
Yeah, all right.
You'll be able to see the finish line, and then you're gonna cut back onto the path, and then it's gonna go pretty sharp down and up.
Yep. So that's about mile 5.2 if you're listening.
Yeah. So at 5.2, you cut back on the trail. It drops down pretty sharp and it goes up pretty sharp, and then you're gonna do this extra little loop in the middle of the park, the dead center of the park. I would say of all of the parts of the course, that's probably the hardest. Just because you pop down and it's pretty sharp up. The hill itself, the sharp up, is probably only 50 to 60 yards long, if that. Like, it's not long, it's just sharp up. So you go up and then it kind of flattens out for a little bit. And then once you get around the back of the park there's going to be one longer grinder that you're going to have to kind of go up. But again, once you get up over it, you get to come back down. Yeah. and it's basically net down to the end of the first loop. And then basically you're going to jump back on the lake trail and do it all over again.
Yep.
So for those, again, I want to make this, for those of you who are worried about all the hills on the run course, they are not hard enough or long enough to really put a hurting on you, unless you've not prepared at all for the race. That's a whole nother story. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, this is a fast run course. Like compared to many others that I've seen and raced on, this is a fast run course. I will say on the last loop, when you're coming into the finish, I mean, it's going to be a smoking fast downhill into the finish.
Yeah. Well,
there you went too dark.
Too deep on this on the Zoom.
So once you come down the hill the last time, you're going to hang a left going in toward the finish line in the visitor center there. It might be just a slight up to the finish, but at that point you're going to be so jazzed up you won't even feel it.
Oh.
Because literally the hill that you come down to get toward the finish line is going to be super fast.
Mm-hmm. Just lean and lift them heels.
Yeah, it's
Turn
like
them over.
It's kind of like the finish to Ironman Chattanooga. You come down this last hill, and it just comes right into the finish line. So if you're feeling good, you can just blaze it in. And that's always a good feeling to, like, even if you didn't feel great for like most of the run, just having that last like quarter mile or so feel fast.
And like per the little profile here, elevation profile, I mean, it's essentially showing the top part of that inner loop, where you mentioned you start that kind of faster section down.
Yep.
I mean, that's mile 12.5.
Yep.
So your last
half mile
and change
plus,
is going to be faster.
Down. Yeah. On both loops.
Yeah.
So ultimately there for 13.1 miles, there's very little uphill. Mm-hmm. Whole lot of flat.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, if you look at when you're finishing loop 1, you're essentially going from mile 5.9 downhill. Then you get on the loop around the lake.
Yeah.
And that runs all the way till 8.4. So you got, 5.9 to 8.4 where it's going to be downhill and flat?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great run course.
Yeah.
So other than that, our pro tips would be to don't waste your finish line photo.
Never.
Because
that's what we do this for.
I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of really shoddy finish line photos, and
wipe the snot off.
Yeah.
Clean the snot.
Zip up.
Smile on your face. Zip up. Put a little leap in there or something.
Absolutely. Arms up.
I've
actually had a couple people who went for an awesome finish line photo and like slipped.
Oh, don't do that.
And actually got the slip on
there we go.
Photo. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much the course, the city, the park, the course, probably in way more detail than you would want. But we'll post obviously this episode and the course maps that we mapped out.
I need to remember to go fix that little bike section.
Because for some reason, Ironman doesn't like to actually put out course maps. So Bryant took the time to map it out with the changes and all that. So we'll post those on the website. And if you guys have any other questions on the course, don't hesitate to shoot them over to us. We ride these roads every single week.
Yep.
If
you're in Memphis, join up with our training group. I mean, it's very affordable. Lots of we're there to answer questions for you via the private Facebook group, and we're going to be getting that in-person session going, where we're going to go ride the course and actually break it down for you in person, where you can get a feel for it all. So,
and we're probably going to have a party afterwards.
There might be a party. I don't know.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
Bring some sweet tea, tofu barbecue.
All right. Appreciate you guys hanging out, listening, watching. We will catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Adios.